Welcome back to Writing Done Right. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can get your writing goals accomplished and basically the ins and outs about how do you set writing goals. All right, so I looked at writing goals and I said, well, how do I get started with making sure I'm staying on task and on target? So right now I'm actually working on the first draft of a life testimony type book where I'm going into my past and digging out that crazy life that I've been through and how did I get to the weird place where I am now in life. And so what I want to do is I want to get this book out within a few weeks, like not a few weeks, but maybe like 10 or so weeks or so is about when I want to finish that draft. What's that going to look like? So that's kind of the decided structure I wanted to figure out. So I identified three ways that I'm using to set my writing goals, three things to think about. So the first one of these is I'm deciding on my writing structure. Now, I talked about how I do fiction books, how I do nonfiction books. This life testimony is somewhere as a blend in between. I'm not fictionalizing any part of my story. That's a modern trend these days, and I really don't like it to say, I want to write a testimony book. Let's make a fiction story out of my book. I don't like that. So I'm writing something that's more truthful, but there's a lot more story elements. I have to figure out how to take a mundane life and make it more magical. And so there's an element of fiction in it in that respect, not that I'm falsifying data, but that I'm sprucing up data with different things. There's it's not even a fine line there, just to indicate what I'm trying to do. But it also means I have to go back through journals and refresh myself what's going on, all these kind of weird little things. So what I decided to do on this book is I'm doing each planning of the chapters and sections. So it's broken down into and I don't even know exactly how many sections I'm going to have. I'm leaning towards probably 4 sections. Early childhood, middle school, college, and then, after that, maybe there's 2 sections after that. I really don't know. So I'm getting started with this, but what I'm doing is I'm planning out the whole first section so I know exactly where the first section's going. And then I identified 5 chapters within the first section and how I'm going to frame those chapters in my life story. So I'm kind of planning these out. And then when it comes down to each chapter, so at the end of the week or on the weekends maybe, I'm sitting down and I'm bullet pointing all of the memories, all of the things that I want to include in that chapter. And then I actually sit down and write an essay. With an essay done, I'll read it over a couple times, maybe read it to a friend or something, and then from that essay, I'm going to spend all of this week going through the essay, incorporating all of the elements and the bullet points and in the essay into a longer, more interesting, more fascinating manuscript, which I'm hoping to finish the actual first draft writing part in probably only 2 or 3 days. Because that way I have the rest of the week to go back over it, add in more detail, add some things I might have forgot about, polish it up, do a first pass grammar edit, and that way I should be done by the end of the week for the essays. So the next is, how am I planning my overview? Well, like I just said, bullet points into essays, essays into draft. So that's really my first thing, is deciding on my overall structure. That's kind of what I'm doing. Parts, chapters, essays, and then draft. The second is, how long should I take to write this? In my case, I want to take each chapter, which I'm probably going to have about 10 to 15, maybe up to 20 chapters, and they're all shorter chapters. We're talking a typical nonfiction type book might have about, I'd say about 5,000 chapters, or 5,000 words per chapter. Whoa, that's a long book. 5,000 chapters, man. 5,000 words per chapter. I'm actually targeting only about between 1,500 and 3,000, which makes it a little bit shorter chapters. So with this, what I'm looking at is I want to spend only about 1 week on a draft per chapter. That's kind of what my goal is. So obviously, the longer time I want to take to write, the less time per day. So now I have writing goals established where I'm trying to get about about 1,000 or so words done. Spread that over 2 or 3 days. I'll have an entire chapter. Leaves me a couple of days to work on the edits. And then what I'm going to do here when I'm deciding how long it should take to write as my second step is I'm going to keep a schedule and a writing log. I want to do both of those, schedule and a writing log. These will help me out to determine if I'm on task, make sure everything is going. And then number 3 is I'm going to decide when to write. In this case, since I have this higher writing goal of about 1,000 or so words per day, I'm actually dividing that out into a morning writing session and an evening writing session, which works out really well. So I can sit down, I can spend some time, unless I can get like a full hour to an hour and a half in the morning, I'll do that too. That's not too bad. So with this, what I'm doing is I'm making time each day. I'm putting it in the schedule. I'm not just writing when I get to it. I'm not just writing as an afterthought. In fact, I'm writing before I get to other things in the day so that it's a priority to me. Make sure that it's there. And then the next is I'm setting a writing location. And I talked about these steps in another video where we're kind of just deciding, what is the order that you're doing to write? What are the steps that you're doing? These are the types of things that I'm looking at doing. And so with these, I identified these 3 writing goals. Number 1 was, again, decide on your writing structure. Number 2, decide how long it should take to work on the book. And then number 3, decide when to write. With these figured out, then you can set individual targeted goals. So for me, I want to get that essay done on the weekend. I want to work on the actual first draft on the computer on the first 2, maybe 3 days. And that gives me about 2 or 3 days to be doing the pass edits, reading through it, adding a few things, and then tweaking a little bit of the grammar. And then eventually we're going to go back when the part's done or when we have some extra time and read through, maybe fix a few little other things. And then, of course, we're going to be passing on to beta readers. We're going to be passing on to editors and stuff later. But this will help me get the first draft and stay on task to try and finish this book, at least the first draft of this book, within about 2 or 3 months. I should be pretty much done with it. So as of today, I think I'm up to about 9 or 10,000 words written. I think about 9,000 words written. And I have been working on this one for very long. So that's kind of the steps here. Let me know if these goals help you to get your writing done, and give me some other tips that have helped you to get your writing done. Let me know those in the comments down below. And once again, I hope that this video has taught you how to get your writing done right.